Welcome to the SWIKE podcast, the only podcast that shares the stuff you didn't know you needed to know about jobs, careers, and life. The SWIKE podcast, the stuff I wish I knew earlier.
Okay, so welcome everyone to the SWIKE Stuff I Wish I Knew Earlier, the podcast, and with one of our first guests here, Hendra one. And I'm excited to talk to you and I'll get to know you a little bit more and learn a little bit more about your relationship to mentorship, education, and sharing some of the impact that you're having in the world. So I would love it if you started the conversation by telling the audience about yourself.
So, Luki, thanks for having me. I'm excited and love to share something that I have learned from SIWIKE. First of all, love the book, and I think everyone who is looking to further advance their career or grow in terms of their personal or professional life, they should really have a look at it.
I appreciate
that. So to start with me, I was born in Indonesia, so that's where I came from. Mm-hmm. Pretty much up to today, I spent half and half of my life. Half of them were in Indonesia, and half of them is here.
So what were you like? What were you like as a kid, Hendra? Were you kind of a shy kid, an outgoing kid, sporty kid? It looks like you have some tennis rackets for those who are going to be watching this on video.
Oh, okay. So I was quite reserved, so I was a little shy, and I guess I was only at the beginning, because after a while, I started to talk a lot, and hopefully whatever I'm talking about is useful and it's good for this podcast. I picked up tennis a while back, and the story is that I'm lazy, to be honest with you, right? So I always look for something that can help me get things done. I leverage a lot. The reason why I picked tennis is because I need something that has the indoor component and the outdoor component. So that gives me an excuse to go out. And the second thing is, I always need something that keep me excited. So in a way, in Canada, we have the Rogers Cup. So we always get news about what's going on. And it's a way to give me the push to continue playing tennis. And the last one is the commitment, because with tennis, you can't just not show up and leave it for another day, because other people will be waiting for you. So I use those factors to keep me motivated to stay in the sport.
That's cool. And you mentioned a little bit that you were shy and a little bit introverted, and then you started talking a lot. Like, how did that happen? Is there a kind of a moment where that happened, or just naturally occurred, or like what was going on there?
That's an interesting question. I haven't really pondered upon it, but then I realized that at some point you build rapport. So you kind of know the people around you, and once you know the people around you, usually you get comfortable. I got comfortable. When I got comfortable, I guess it's my nature of I always have a way of picking up issues and problems. And if I find a problem, I usually share my view on the solution. Not always right, but a lot of time I feel compelled to share what I know.
So some of that rapport has to be there. Like, you actually have to know the people a bit before you start talking a lot. Because I know a lot of people have a misconception of what introversion is. It's really people who get energy from a small group of people, right? Mm-hmm. So when you have that rapport and when you get to know them, like, introverts can actually be quite talkative and actually have a lot of information to share. It's just sometimes it takes a bit of time, or a little bit of relationship needs to be built first in order for that to happen. Was that kind of the case? Or because in the circles that I know you as, you seem to be pretty outgoing, right? I wouldn't have pegged you as an introvert, at least at the beginning. You seem to be connecting with people and doing that. And was that something you developed over time, or was that natural?
I have to say something I've developed over time. The reason why I say it is because I believe there was a couple of moments which I don't exactly remember when. Those are the moments when I feel like being reserved, it's not going to help you in your career. It depends on what you want. assuming if you are a person who would love to just sit at home, you are a very research oriented person. If your work has to do with reading a lot of material and writing it up, I guess it's not going to affect you that much. But then if you're looking to grow into a career where you really have to go out and meet people, I think it become a necessity for you to actually get uncomfortable. So it was a lot of, not a lot, it was quite a number of uncomfortable moments where I actually push myself. So I'm not really an extrovert because people get energy from being around with people. For me, after a while, I really need my personal time. Yes, yeah. I just put that into in a way that this is what I have to do. It's part of my professional life, and I just have to get out and talk to people and network.
Cool. So you mentioned that you grew up in Indonesia and then you came over to Canada, and you did so as an international student. Can you walk us a little bit through that transition and that journey?
Sure. So I completed my high school in Indonesia. At that time, I guess I got lucky that my parents decided to send me here to Canada. I had an uncle here. Now I have an uncle here, but then he retired and he moved to Vancouver. So, and he also had a lot of influence on my career and financial life. And he did his MBA, so I kind of take the cue that I should do that too, in a way. So the journey started when I completed high school. So I came here. So it was quite a different. What's really different is that I no longer have the friends and the network and all these, what I call the your social capital that support me, right? So that became an issue. When I was in high school, it was easy to get things that I like. For example, if you want to get something, it's not available, call up some people, they'll hook you up. So when I came, I realized that I didn't have all that. So I started building all the social capital when I came here. And so I spent 3 years in the university. I came to York University. It was quite a learning moment. And then I graduated. I actually went back and did another degree in IT, just so that I could learn a little bit about the business side of IT. And then eventually I ended up doing my MBA, which completely put me into the business role. I learned a lot about the business world as a result.
Cool. And I'd love to pick your brain a little bit about that whole transition, because a lot of the folks that I speak to are international students. And so there's a couple of things in that transition. Is one, like, how big did English play a role in that? Like, did you learn it before when you were in Indonesia, and how was kind of getting into that? And then that whole kind of building of social capital, like, how did you start that, and how did that kind of take place?
Okay. First of all, I think social capital is important. Well, I did not think it's that important, but then in hindsight, it's really important. I can share with you one secret is that being 20 plus years in Canada, I have never got a job from applying. I got interviews, but most of my employment has come from people that I have built a relationship with. So professional networking, acquaintances, and so on and so on, of volunteer opportunities. Now, English, it's not really English. I think communication in general, it's really important. So because in general we speak English here, so that means it's important that you can speak well, not you don't have to be like Barack Obama or anything, but you
Sure.
should be able to communicate in ways that people can understand you. So for me, it was a barrier. It was a barrier for me to actually being productive at work, or to actually advance my career, or simply to just to just have an effective communication with the people around me. So if you are an international student, I think one of the things that you need to put a lot of emphasis on is actually improving your English.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still struggling from time to time, and I put quite an effort to get it to where I can be able to communicate today. I still have a long way to go.
No, I mean, your English is great. I'm sure everyone listening can
I,
understand you quite well. So yeah.
Thank you. And I think in Canada, people are kind. They tolerate accents a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and especially in Toronto, we have such uh, a great city, and it's the diversity is amazing. So people don't feel that much alienated when they don't speak English well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that the lesson sounds like just get out there and speak, and people will be kind. I mean, there's always that one person who isn't, but like for the most part, people will be helpful. And yeah, the only way to improve is to do it and to practice a little bit more. So that's great. So now, if you kind of walk us through, you've gone through school, you're entering the working world, and you've navigated kind of that. Like, what was your kind of thoughts, hopes, dreams, or aspirations of you getting into the working world? And then later on, you mentioned you decided to do your MBA. So what is kind of that connecting those 2 points?
I see. So I guess the way I look at it is, a lot of people like to do everything in one shot. For example, they've done the high school, they immediately went to the university, and right after that they enroll into a postgraduate school. I think that's good if they already know what they want. So in my case, I was a little bit of I explore a lot. I mean, there are times where I had no idea what I wanted to do. So what I learned is that you really need to know your why. But then if you don't know your why, it's not that bad either. So I tend to take it one phase at a time. So when I went into the university, I knew my English wasn't that great. So I enrolled in computer science, because that it's probably one of the major that require the less essay writing in the entire program. I only had one social science course and one humanity course. So that was to me, that was amazing.
Right.
And then after I graduated, I found a job. So I spent a number of years in hardcore IT, which I did a lot of tech support. I built servers and pretty much do all the technical stuff. Then I realized that after a while, it's not, I needed to grow. So I went back and did another degree in IT, which is like information system / project management. So it really trained you how to look at it from a process and a business perspective. So I learned a lot from that sense, and then that helped me grew my career a little bit. Then after, and then I pretty much somehow joined the cybersecurity industry, and I have been doing cybersecurity for the past 20 years. And at some point, I also realized that I've came to a point where growing my career further would require me to actually go back to school and learn something new. So I decided that MBA was probably the right move, and I did that. And so my career has progressed a little bit further after I completed my MBA. I'm not saying that everyone should do that, but what I have learned is that you always have to take some time for yourself to actually sit down every 2-3 years and remap the goals that you want to achieve for the next phase of your career.
Thanks for joining us on the SWIKE Stuff I Wish I Knew Earlier, the podcast. If you like the podcast, please subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you found this podcast. And if you can give us a review, that would be very appreciated. Feel free to contact me on LinkedIn at Luki Danu, LUKIDANU, and the same on most social media platforms. And I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks. Bye.